Live from WRAL News headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
The final push for your vote brings both presidential candidates to our state for dueling rallies today. And that means long lines early in the morning. We're live in Rocky Mount, where former President Donald Trump will address a crowd there, and in Raleigh for Vice President Harris's message as well.
And a changing weather pattern, it means warmer temperatures. What is that going to mean for your trick-or-treat time temperatures? I'll show you.
Also, a symbol of the holidays arrives in the North Carolina mountains. Why this tree could also serve as a sign of economic resilience.
The 2024 presidential candidates have mere days to win over votes in critical battleground states, including ours. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are both in North Carolina right now. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. The vice president, fresh off her speech last night from the Ellipse in Washington, D.C., is here in Raleigh with a speech that will start at 12:30. WRAL's Brett Neese is covering that. We'll get to him in just a moment.
And we're starting with WRAL's Heidi Kirk in Rocky Mount right now, where former President Trump will speak. And at 12:30, we will check in on Vice President Kamala Harris's rally first. Trump will take the stage in less than an hour from now.
Jeff, good morning. You got that right. The countdown is on here at the Rocky Mount Events Center for former President Donald Trump. And as you can see behind me, it is a packed house. There's already been several speakers this morning, including the Rocky Mount mayor and Republican candidate for Congress, Lori Buckout. Now, we spoke with attendees outside who say issues like the economy, immigration, and abortion brought them out to the polls this year. Now, like many North Carolinians, we found many of them voted early. Listen to some of the issues that drove them to the polls.
Because I like his policies on everything.
Oh yeah, the economy, the border, of course. My faith in God really has a big part of it.
So the main issue is abortion, and I don't support abortion.
Mr. President, now remember, back in 2016.
Now I'm told that 6,000 people are registered for this event this afternoon. Again, the remarks will begin at 1 p.m. Now, the first people got in line, I'm told, at 11:30 p.m. last night. So as you can see, there's a lot of excitement in this room for the former president to take the stage. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, live in Rocky Mount.
And Vice President Harris is expected to speak this hour at a rally at Coastal Credit Union Music Park, with thousands of supporters who are waiting there for the Democratic nominee to speak. WRAL's Brett Neese is live there. And Brett, people have come from all over to hear her speak.
Jeff, they really have. And Attorney General Josh Stein just got done with his speech, and Governor Roy Cooper is heading out right now on the stage. You can see him shaking supporters' hands as he gets ready to deliver remarks before Vice President Harris shows up here at Coastal Credit Union Music Park. It is a packed house spilling out into the lawn. There's at least 8,000 people here, all in support of Vice President Harris. Sky 5 flew over this venue before the doors even opened. There were people lined up, waiting hours to get inside to hear Kamala Harris speak. And with less than a week to go before Election Day, a number of these voters tell me they have already cast their ballots, and they say this has been a long and tiring race.
It's a little stressful, but I'm really just honoring all of the positivity, all of the excitement. We need to just be super positive until the very end.
And I believe that the only way we can keep our democracy is with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
Harris is set to speak in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin today as well. Meanwhile, her running mate Tim Walz will be in Charlotte, Greensboro, and Asheville as the Democrats continue their blitz here across North Carolina. Governor Cooper, of course, speaking now, and Kamala Harris set to come up in about 20 minutes or so. We'll, of course, bring that live to you at 12:30. Live in Raleigh, Brett Neese, WRAL News.
And as Brett mentioned, more than 3 million people have already cast their ballots statewide. That represents almost 40% of registered voters. In Wake County alone, nearly 340,000 people have cast ballots. And a reminder, if you plan to vote early, you have until this Saturday, November 2nd, to do that.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, the Supreme Court has allowed Virginia to purge voter rolls ahead of next week's elections. Republicans they wanted to remove non-citizen voters from the rolls, and Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin today calling it a victory for common sense and election fairness. He said Virginians can now cast their ballots on Election Day, knowing that Virginia's elections are fair, they are secure, and free from politically motivated interference. Now, civil rights groups, they challenged the plan, saying that it had led to some legal voters being removed from the rolls. And the Justice Department, they said that while states can review its voter rolls, it cannot do so right before the election.
The Amber Alert for a 9-year-old girl out of Robeson County has been canceled. Law enforcement issued the alert for Micaiah Strickland last night. She was last seen on Corinth Road in Pembroke with her father, Claude WRAL. He was wanted for questioning in connection with the death investigation. We're working to find out where Strickland was found and if anyone is in custody. A Wake County man is charged with armed robbery at a Raleigh gas station. Police arrested 37-year-old Reginald Tillman shortly after the robbery at the Circle K on New Bern Avenue. Tillman faces several charges, including robbery with a dangerous weapon. Police have not reported any injuries. It's unclear what Tillman stole. The investigation is ongoing.
Temperatures are warming up today. They'll stay above normal for the next few days. Elizabeth Gardner is out on the WRAL weather patio with a look at our trick-or-treat time temperatures for tomorrow, Elizabeth.
I'll tell you what, right now it feels really warm here on the patio. It's kind of funny because the tree behind me, every time the wind blows a little bit, is just showering me with leaves. So it feels very fall-like in terms of the leaves and the colors that are changing. But I tell you what, not so much with the temperatures. We have a high-pressure system that is out there in the Atlantic. High-pressure systems rotate clockwise, and that high is pulling in some warmth that you'll really feel today. Our temperatures were 15 to 20 degrees warmer in some places this morning than the day before, and this afternoon about 10 degrees warmer than what we saw yesterday. And I think our skeleton is just about to pass out because of the heat. It keeps falling down right there. Around town tomorrow, our high temperature is 78 in Durham, 80 degrees in Raleigh, and 82 in Fayetteville. It's going to be a beautiful day. We're going to see a lot of sunshine across the area. What you won't need for trick-or-treat time is a jacket, a coat, or an umbrella, but it is a new moon. That means that the sky will be fairly dark. You probably want to grab a flashlight unless you happen to be in a place where you got a lot of street lights. How about that Halloween planner? It just continues to look great as trick-or-treat time kicks off at around 5 o'clock, mid-70s, and then dropping into the mid-60s by about 9 o'clock. Lots and lots of sunshine. Now, we do have a front that's likely to come through on Friday. That will bring us back down to normal temperatures and possibly a little rain. We'll take a look at that coming up.
For the second day in a row, extra law enforcement and Wake School security is at Broughton High School right now today. That school was on code red lockdown yesterday. Someone reported a student had a gun on campus. Authorities searched the school. They did not find a gun. Police tell us a student was detained in connection to what happened. The department did not say how that student was connected, just that it is part of the investigation. Now, this comes just a couple days after a student was found near campus with a gun.
Covering Wake County, school leaders want your thoughts on how should students and teachers use technology in the classroom. In Wake County, each school can decide whether to allow students to use the devices. School board members believe it's time for a district-wide standard. School board chairman Chris Haggerty says the policies are inconsistent and inadequate.
We really want to look at what other districts are doing, what are the best policies in place to make sure, especially if a child has a health need, that an accommodation can be made. But at the same time, you know, if a communication isn't essential, can it wait until the child's out of class?
The survey will launch next month, and district officials share how they plan to implement it and who will be included. By March, the district plans to come up with options for an updated cell phone policy.
Taking a look at stocks this noon, all three major indices are in positive territory right now. The Dow Jones rebounded from a rough start early this morning, but now up almost 200 points this noon. The S&P 500 is up 16 points right now. NASDAQ is up 46. New York Yankees kept their World Series dreams alive. There is hope still after a dominating performance in Game 4. Yeah, let's be honest, there's still a lot of work left to be done, but fans are wondering if the Yanks can build off this win and pull this off despite the 11-4 loss. Los Angeles still leads the series 3-1. Game 5 is tonight on Fox. Our coverage starts at 7 o'clock, and WRAL's news on Fox 50 airs right after the game.
Next at noon, newspapers declining to endorse presidential candidates, their reasons, and the questions about timing.
Also, a sign of the season to come, how Biltmore Estate will welcome back guests after Helene with this holiday centerpiece.
Plus, the race for governor of North Carolina. At 12:30, the information behind the new WRAL poll numbers.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
A growing number of newspapers are facing criticism for declining to endorse a presidential candidate. Their owners and managers argue they want to focus on reporting facts, not publishing opinions. Critics question the timing. Here's Amy Kiley.
The broader context here is about how CEOs, business leaders, and other institutional leaders are handling this election.
More newspapers.
United Airlines is bumping up requirements for travelers to unlock special perks. Basically, you'll have to spend a lot more money for all of its Mileage Plus program levels starting next year. United is changing how you can earn towards status with a co-branded United credit card. This makes spending on its most expensive cards more important. This is similar to what Delta has been doing. More than half of adults say they made at least one unplanned or impulse buy purchase during the holiday season last year. Just one? A new Bankrate survey finds family members were the most popular recipient of these purchases. Well, next were shoppers buying for themselves, friends, and acquaintances. The most common explanations: it was a good deal, or the item was on sale, Jeff. It was so good. I saved a lot of money.
Yeah, so many. Spent money to save money.
And spent money.
There's a new generation of music fans helping the country's oldest vinyl record plant to make a comeback. United Record Pressing in Nashville, Tennessee has been around for 75 years. The company pressed the very first Beatles single in the U.S. and has managed to survive CDs, iPods, and streaming services. The CEO says vinyl offers fans a deeper connection to the music.
You get to pick it up and you look at it and you experience, setting on the platter and putting the needle and setting the needle in the groove and having the experience and opening it up and reading liner notes and understanding the history and all the work that went into it and the people that played on it.
United Record Press runs a factory 6 times larger than its original, with about 125 employees creating up to 80,000 records a day.
An Iowa woman is embracing retirement after working 75 years for the same company. 94-year-old Ann Schroeder says work has been a way of life. She says she felt right at home working in auto and truck parts thanks to her father. Schroeder says he taught her to drive a semi-truck at 17, and her late husband was a race driver, so working in the auto parts business was second nature.
Don't stay at a job that you don't like. Find something that meets what you like to do and you do the best at it. Because if you have a job you don't like, you never do the job the proper way. Never.
If you like the job, you could be working for 75 years. Now that she's retired, Ann says she looks forward to spending more time with family and friends.
Battling for votes in the battleground state of North Carolina. We're live in Rocky Mount and southeast Raleigh, where the presidential candidates are making a last impression.
Do not throw out your expired COVID tests just yet. The FDA clears up confusion over shelf life and performance. And here's a look at your winning lottery numbers.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Our exclusive new WRAL News poll shows Democratic Attorney General Josh Stein continues to hold a commanding lead over Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson in the governor's race. 52% of voters say they are supporting Stein. 37% are backing Robinson. 10% say they are still undecided. WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie joins us live from the governor's mansion with a look at the data behind these numbers. Laura.
Jeff, you know, these new numbers show us that Robinson's support really hasn't changed much since our September poll. And that's despite CNN's reporting that linking Robinson to inappropriate comments made on a porn website years ago. Robinson has denied those allegations and has filed a lawsuit against CNN over that story. You know, when we look at support by party, 79% of Republicans say they're backing Robinson, with 13% crossing over to vote for Stein and 6% undecided. Democrats are almost unanimous in supporting Stein, and independents are leading toward him by a 2-to-1 margin, with 19% of those still undecided. Stein also has a majority among every age group and a strong lead with women. Stein leads Robinson by 6 points among men, but among women, he holds a 25% lead. That's a huge gender gap. A Duke political scientist, Mac McCorkle, says the actual election will probably be closer than that. In 2020, polls showed Roy Cooper winning the governor's race by double digits, but on election night, he only won by 5 points. McCorkle says Stein shouldn't bank on a runaway victory either.
But unless Donald Trump has a big victory here in North Carolina and can somehow drag Mark Robinson over the finish line, in the absence of that, the Robinson campaign has really collapsed.
Our WRAL News poll is conducted exclusively for us by Survey USA. It includes 853 likely voters across the state. It has a credibility interval of 4.1% plus or minus. A credibility interval is like a margin of error, but it includes more factors. Coming up tonight, I'll show you what our polls say about whether or not Robinson will have an effect on the rest of the Republican ticket. Laura Leslie, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
And for even more context on this, you can go to WRAL.com to see our complete article on the poll results and the race to win North Carolina. Tonight at 6, we will break down the results in the closely watched race for state superintendent, which appears much closer than the race for governor.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, we started off our newscast with a check-in on former President Trump's rally in Rocky Mount. So we're going to begin with Vice President Harris's rally in Raleigh. This is a live look at Coastal Credit Union Music Park. We have heard she is there. We are waiting for her to take the stage. She was supposed to take the stage at 12:30, so really any moment now. Earlier this afternoon, we heard from Josh Stein. We heard from Governor Cooper. There were loud cheers when Cooper asked the crowd who had already voted and that he encouraged those who have not voted yet to do so. Last night in D.C., Harris promised to be a unifying presence in the White House. Now, this is a very close race here in North Carolina. A WRAL News poll released last night showed the candidates Trump and Harris in a 47-47 tie. Now, former President Trump, he will be in Rocky Mount in about 30 minutes. He's speaking at the Rocky Mount Event Center at 1 p.m. We do have a crew there. On Sunday in New York, Trump pitched himself as someone who could fix the economy and the border. We will have coverage of both of these in our later newscast.
The race is so tight that the presidential candidates are hoping their visits will move the needle a bit. And Democratic vice presidential nominee Tim Walz is also reaching out to voters in North Carolina today. He is scheduled to speak at the Mecklenburg County Democratic Party headquarters this afternoon. He's also scheduled to stop in Asheville and Greensboro during today's visit to North Carolina. WRAL's Brett Neese is at Coastal Credit Union Music Park in Raleigh covering the vice president's speech that will begin any moment. Heidi Kirk is in Rocky Mount for Donald Trump's visit. And look for their live reports beginning at 4 p.m. here on WRAL, on WRAL.com, and on the WRAL News app.
A driver is facing charges after crashing into a home in Johnston County. You can see the extensive damage to that house near Smithfield. Thankfully, no one was in the house at the time because the people who lived there moved out just 2 weeks ago. Wilson's Mills police say an officer tried to stop the car for speeding in a work zone on US 70, and that's when the chase began. Police say the officer stopped the chase after the driver turned off his lights. A short time later, the car crashed into a house on Creech's Mill Road. We talked with the owners of that home who described for us what happened.
He came down this road, bumped the lady's car about a quarter of a mile up the road, came off the road, came through the front yard of this house and entered the bedroom of our house.
The driver was taken to the hospital. We're working to find out his condition.
A driver who led officers on a high-speed chase last week on NC 540 in Wake County is now in custody. Police say 31-year-old Devontae Watkins led officers on a chase last Thursday. He then ran from the scene. He faces several charges, including felony speeding and resisting an officer.
Safety is a top priority when it comes to our littlest ones. What you need to know about a recall on a baby powder sold here in North Carolina.
And this would be about the time of year when allergy sufferers can feel some relief. Well, not so fast. Why the fall allergy season is getting longer. Remember, you can watch WRAL News live anytime on WRAL.com or the WRAL app on your streaming device. As far back as she can remember, our teacher of the week has always loved art.
And for the last 27 years, she has been sharing her creative passion with her students. WRAL's Ken Smith went to Wilson to surprise an educator at Bedingfield High School.
Make sure that you add in your detailing, shades, and highlights.
Tanya Harris Ellis is very familiar with Bedingfield High School. After all, it's her high school alma mater. That's one of the reasons she takes deep pride in bringing out the creative side of her students in her art classes.
So I just love it. 27 years. Ooh, it's been a long time, but hey, I love it. I love it. I love it.
Ellis is a proud North Carolina Central University alum, which is one of the first things you notice when entering her classroom. Once inside, though, she especially loves the fact that art, like music, is a universal language.
It's like a light go off and a breath of fresh air because they bring so much life into it. And I want them to feel the experience that I feel, and they want me to feel what they feel. Okay, so you need to add in some shading and some highlights.
Her classroom, the walls, the hallway leading to her classroom, all part of an ever-changing tapestry of creativity on which Ellis thrives every day, and her students are the beneficiaries.
Even though I have technically 3 years left, I don't think I'm gonna stop anytime soon because I love them and I love my staff.
Miss Harris, you are WRAL's Teacher of the Week.
What?
Yes, you are. Ken Smith, WRAL News.
Who, me?
I know that look she had, right? You kidding me?
It is you. If you'd like to nominate a teacher, you can go to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box.
Nothing says fall like pumpkin spice and changing leaves, but the lack of a fall frost could spell trouble for allergy sufferers.
Plus, your dog might be able to obey commands like sit, stay, roll over, but can your pup do this? How one pup is getting into the Halloween fun with his trick.
Welcome back. Here's a live look at Carolina Beach with our weather warm-up. You might want to take a trip to the beach. It'd be a great time of year to do so. Look, I mean, there's hardly anyone at the beach. You have the beach all to yourself. You can get all that sunshine. You're watching WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
If you bought Dynacare baby powder, stop using it right now. According to the FDA, the number of cases linked to possible asbestos contamination has ballooned. The initial recall was announced in September. It involved just 62 cases. The government is expanding that recall now to include an additional 1,000 cases. The baby powder was shipped to 35 states, including North Carolina, and sold on Amazon. The expiration dates run from October 30th, 2026 through January 31st, 2027. So throw out the Dynacare, but keep those COVID tests. Don't get rid of those just yet. Many have extended expiration dates, so you may be able to use them after the expiration date that's printed on the box. According to the FDA, the shelf life is how long the test should work as expected and is measured from the date the test was manufactured. The expiration date is set at the end of the shelf life and is the date through which the test is expected to perform as accurately as when manufactured. If stored properly, the test can continue to function properly up to a year after that expiration date.
Fall fun includes Halloween, football, and Thanksgiving. But autumnal allergies can take the enjoyment out of those events. Sean Langill explains why this season is not expected to let up anytime soon.
A symphony of sniffles is echoing across the country, and a longer fall allergy season is largely to blame. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration has forecasted warm and dry autumn conditions for much of the country. Scientists have also predicted warmer than average winter temperatures across large parts of the South, Great Lakes region, New England, and beyond.
Ragweed and mold are the two most common allergens right now. And because of climate change, warmer temperatures are lasting longer, and we have not had solid frost to stop the allergens from producing.
With many families diving into piles of leaves and using hay to stuff scarecrows, you could be coming into direct contact with a number of allergy triggers.
Mold thrives in damp leaf piles, which we have a lot of right now.
Doctors recommend reducing exposure to pollen.
You can find pollen forecasts online. Keep windows closed in your home and in your car. Consider washing your hands and your face after you've been outside. Over-the-counter or prescription-strength antihistamines can help.
But don't lock yourself indoors. Instead, head out during these low pollen times.
In the fall, ragweed tends to peak in the morning time.
Common allergy symptoms can include congestion, scratchy throat, and itchy eyes. Because we're also getting deeper into cold and flu season, how can you tell the difference?
When we compare allergies versus a cold, with a cold we often see fever, body aches, and fatigue.
So indoor plants can also help clear the air. Philodendrons, for example, are great for beginners. They can help keep your environment free of cancer-causing formaldehyde. Remember, both are toxic to cats and dogs.
Renee, this is just the perfect time to take it outside right now with all that talk, right, about what's in the air. Elizabeth Gardner is out on the WRAL weather patio right now, and we know the temperatures are nice. How's the pollen feeling out there? Allergies?
You know, I'm one of those super incredibly lucky people who doesn't really have much trouble with allergies. I'm the only one at my house that is that lucky, so I'm not the one to ask. But definitely, I'm surrounded by beautiful plants everywhere. Gorgeous, you got leaves falling, you know, with the autumn, and a beautiful sky out there too. You can see that in Apex, is big puffy clouds there off in the distance as you look down Salem Street. It looks absolutely beautiful out there. So just enjoy a pretty day. We'll take a look at the satellite again, and you can see the big puffy cumulus clouds filling in. See how the little popcorn look to the map there from Raleigh down to Sanford and Fayetteville. And then we do still have some cloud cover in our northeastern counties, Northampton and Halifax counties. Still a little bit cloudy from some leftover clouds this morning. We'll likely end up seeing more low cloud cover again tomorrow morning like we saw today. Let's talk about our next rain chance. It comes on Friday. It's going to be very much like last weekend where we had a little bit of rain on Sunday morning. Probably see a little bit of rain Saturday morning, but it's probably not going to measure up much in the rain gauges. Some brief cooling behind that too. As we get into the weekend, our high temperatures are likely to drop by about 10 degrees. Here's a look at the big picture. High pressure is sitting offshore, is pulling in some warm, moist air, and then our cold front back to the west, getting ready to move between Minneapolis and Chicago there. A little bit of rain with that, but as it moves eastward, it will become even more moisture starved. So we're not looking at a whole lot of rain out of this system. We'll take a look at Futurecast, and you can see that precipitation sliding eastward with our front. We're kicking this off at about 11 o'clock on Friday, and we're going to see that rainfall developing and moving in Friday evening, Friday night, and then out on Saturday morning. And you can see it will mostly be from the Triangle area northward. And when we take a look at our forecast rainfall, it's really nothing showing up. Again, it would be maybe a 1/10 of an inch or less Friday night into Saturday. We're seeing that warm weather right now thanks to that high pressure system pulling it up out of the south. So that is creating temperatures temperatures that are well above normal, but it is going to make for some really nice trick-or-treat conditions. No jacket, no coat, no umbrella, but grab a flashlight because we'll have a new moon, which means it will be fairly dark in the sky. And those Halloween trick-or-treat times look great. At 5 o'clock, 76, and at 9 o'clock, 66. So perfect for getting out and about. We're still watching the tropics. The National Hurricane Center still has a 40% chance in the tropics there in the Caribbean over the next 7 days. But the computer models for that area are really showing no development. Now, earlier in the week and even last week, there was more of a potential for development. So we might see that number dropping some in the next day or so. Almost 80 degrees today, tomorrow, and Friday. Then a nice drop on Saturday and Sunday. But Tuesday for Election Day, we're dry and warm. Back to almost 80 again.
Elizabeth, thank you. They're back. How spooky videos from your home security system can earn you big bucks.
And speaking of that, winning Mega Millions numbers 16, 22, 26, 36, 56. The Mega Ball is 1. The Mega Plier is 4. We'll be right back with the top stories. We wrap things up with a look at a few of the headlines we're following for you today.
Both presidential candidates are in our area right now, less than a week before Election Day. Large crowds are gathering as Vice President Kamala Harris makes a stop in Raleigh, and former President Donald Trump visits Rocky Mount trying to win over voters. You're looking live at each of those rallies where thousands of people have gathered. We have team coverage of both these visits. Look for those reports during our evening news starting at 4.
Our exclusive new WRAL News poll shows Democratic Attorney General Josh Stein continues to hold a commanding lead over Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson in the governor's race. 52% of voters say they're supporting Stein, 37% are backing Robinson, and 10% say they're still undecided. Tonight at 6, Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie also takes a closer look at results of this closely watched race for State Superintendent of Schools.
The Biltmore plans to welcome guests this weekend, and a major part of the celebration will be on hand. This is video of a 28-foot Fraser fir as it arrived at Biltmore Mansion this morning. A behind-the-scenes look as crews raise the holiday centerpiece during our evening news. Beginning Saturday, you'll be able to visit the estate for Christmas at Biltmore.
Last year it was aliens. This year, Ring is offering big bucks if customers can offer proof of ghosts on their home security system. So far, about 4,000 customers have submitted entries in the ghost search competition. These are just a few of the top submissions here. Participants have until November 1st to send in unedited clips. So that's by Friday. You have to get them off your Ring app for a shot at $100,000.
A happy pup is joining in on the Halloween fun. Take a look at this clip of an Australian shepherd named Promise. So this is her learning how trick-or-treating works last year. Her owner says she loves giving candy to trick-or-treaters. More than 2 million people follow her antics on Instagram.
Our pet of the day is from Cat Angels NC, a loyal, affectionate, bonding, quickly cat. Meet Beethoven. He loves to give hugs and cuddle with his people. Beethoven does not like to be alone, and he does get along with other friendly cats. He does have a number of allergies, so his food and litter can be a little more expensive, but it is well worth it for this precious guy. If you're looking for a very sweet best friend, fill out an application on the Cat Angels website to meet this sweet boy.
Wonder if he's musical at all. Coming up on WRAL News at 4, a different kind of haunting has gripped the housing market this Halloween season. Why stigmatized properties that were once shunned for their ghostly tales are now attracting curious buyers. Cue the scary music.
Tales from inside the homes. NBC News Daily is up next on WRAL, your next local news update in 30 minutes.
You can get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. It is gorgeous out there, so go out and have a great day. Maybe head to Carolina Beach. See you there.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.